What's up, good people? David Taub here, co-founder of NextLevelGuitar.com. How are you today? Hope all is well, and I hope your guitar journey is going famously. We're going to go with a little minor arpeggio, and I'm going to show you the arpeggio, how to find it, and also I'm going to show you some cool ways to connect it to some other scale. With all your arpeggios and scales, you know, you just don't want to learn the arpeggio or just learn the scale. You also want to learn, you know, where the root notes are, how to find them and how to apply them, what it sounds good over. You know, knowing all the scales in the world won't do you a bit of good unless you know how to use them and how to apply them and what chords they sound good over, right? And for those of you that don't know, or if this is something new, all an arpeggio is instead of playing the notes of a chord, kind of strumming them all together, like I'm playing a G minor chord here, what we're going to do is we're going to play the notes that make up a given chord, and in this instance a minor chord, individually. So a G minor chord is made up of the notes G, the root, B flat, which is your flatted third, and the fifth, D. But let's find a little better place to play those three notes where it's going to be a little bit more flowing and it's easy to find when you're playing lead guitar and soloing and improvising. So this is the 10th fret right here. That's a G note, so we're going to play G minor arpeggio, and you're going to go pinky on the A string, 10th fret. Then with your second finger, grab that B flat note, that flat third at the 8th fret on the D string. Then first finger on the G string, that's the D note, so far. Then with your second finger, grab the root note again, the G note on the 8th fret of the B string. And then first finger, stretch back to the B flat note at the 6th fret of the high E string. And here's that big stretch. And then you're going to stretch back to the D note, 10th fret of the high E string. So here's the whole arpeggio. And then just practice that up and back. Get comfortable with it. The pinky's the root note, so all you have to do to play this in different keys is just find that root note with the pinky and play the exact same shape. I'm playing it here at the 10th fret A string, G. Let's say if we move this up to the 7th fret, that's an E note, and play the same exact shape I'm now playing because this is an E minor arpeggio. So it's a great shape because it's movable like that. That's the thing about arpeggios, you know, is you want to be able to find them quick and throw them in there. And this minor arpeggio is a great arpeggio. There's not a lot of intervals in it. It's just the root, a flat third, and a fifth. So it sounds great over pretty much any minor type chord. If you have a progression or a song or something, or you're jamming over a jam track and it has an A minor chord, you want to blast that A minor arpeggio over that. You know, look for the corresponding minor chords and try this minor arpeggio. So let me show you a couple quick ways to connect this arpeggio into like a minor pentatonic blues scale. You know your basic box shape minor pentatonic at the 3rd fret because we're in G minor. So we're going to go grab that. Then that's that expanded shape I showed you in some other lessons, right? Well, there's your root note, that G. Watch how I could connect this off this G minor arpeggio. Here's the top of that arpeggio. That's our minor triad. Right? So when you descend it, and you get to that G string, all you do is G string, just go back chromatically 2 half steps. That's that blue note. And then you're into this minor pentatonic box. It's real easy. And you could really make up some great licks and really connect that nicely. Watch it again. See, that's the trick. I'm just backing up with that first finger. See, I'm in that blues shape. Minor pentatonic. So you got, and that's, you know, any key, you're just, to change keys, you're just shifting this whole thing back or up. So it's the same exact shape, same, you know, intervals. And you're back in your minor pentatonic. It's a real nice fluid kind of way to connect. Another easy connection point if you go up on the arpeggio to the D string, right, and you're playing that B flat note at the 8th fret with that second finger, I like to slide back because you slide all the way back to the root. So no matter what key you're playing this in, when you get to that D string, right, that's your flat third. Remember, your root note is just 3 frets or a minor third away. So just slide back. And you're back on the root, and if you slide back another whole step, then you're back in that basic box shape. So here's what this looks like. Notice when I slide back that minor third or 3 frets, I'm using that second finger. Then first finger gets me back in that blues shape. All kinds of possibilities just from those 2 little ways to phrase or connect your musical ideas and thoughts. You could be playing licks like these pull-off licks on the minor triad. You know, I'm just pulling off on this stretch in my root note G on the B string, 8th fret, 6th fret high E string, and 10th fret high E string. And then I slide back. Arpeggios are an important part of any lead guitar player's arsenal, and they can be treated in the similar way of scales. You know, for instance, like a G major scale, I would never really play a scale like that if I was playing in a song or playing over a jam track or practicing. I'm not going to start at the first note of the scale and work all the way up to the last note. You know, same thing with the arpeggio. If I play that G minor arpeggio, I wouldn't play it necessarily from the first note to the last note and all the way back up, just like a scale, because it's going to sound a little stiff that way. You want to take that arpeggio and create riffs out of it and break it up. Or take, you know, the minor triad part of it. And there I was just playing this little lick where I was playing the top part of the arpeggio with a pull off, and there's a little bit of a stretch here. Back to the root, G. And then go up to the arpeggio. You know, where you're taking the arpeggio and you're connecting it. You're phrasing it in a way where you get the flavor of the arpeggio mixed in with licks and scales. And that's really what good arpeggio playing is about. It's about mixing the arpeggios in, creating licks, and mixing them in with your scales and whatnot. Always know, you know, when you're noodling around, what key you're in and where your root notes are. Because a lot of times you're going to be, you know, kind of going back to that root note as home base and resolving a lot of your licks there. And now you're kind of going from an arpeggio to a minor pentatonic scale to a blues scale to maybe, you know, a natural minor scale, and you're starting to take on some different character. Another cool thing I like doing with these arpeggios or scales, so it's really nice, the arpeggio is skipping notes, so in a pattern. So for instance, the first 3 notes of the arpeggio, you know, you have the G, the B flat, and the D. Okay, so play the G note with the pinky, then skip over that B flat note, don't play it, and then play the D note with your first finger. Now, go back and play the B flat note, but skip over that D note and play the next note, which is the G. So you get this if I do it slow. So you're really kind of spacing them out. And if I continue with that, where I play a note, skip a note, go to the next note, go back to the skip note, skip the next note, play the next note, it'll sound like this. And then you work up the speed, it sounds like a really cool lick. And then when you descend it, you could do it a little differently, and then maybe go into one of those linking licks I showed you. Watch some of my other videos on different types of arpeggios and how to incorporate them into your playing. Go to our website, nextlevelguitar.com, and we have, now there's over 800 video lessons, written lessons, jam tracks. It's amazing for beginners, intermediates, advanced players. There's so much stuff on there. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube videos by clicking on the subscribe button. And I will see you in the next lesson. Rock on! Let's jam. Listen for that minor arpeggio.